there's certain things that I've noticed that are character traits in people. And a lot of it is how they treat others. And, when you achieve a level of greatness, you expect they're going to be cocky. They're going to have something about them. Steve is the most selfless and giving person that when you play tennis with him, he's the guy that's bringing you water and a towel and just being thoughtful of those around you. And, it goes in life to see, like, I wouldn't count him out of anything. I mean, from being a filmmaker to, anything you see. I mean, people probably read at Kobe Bryant before he passed away. He sort of set his sights on a children's book or in film and wins an Oscar. Steve is that person. And so there's nobody better than I can imagine to help showcase, that all dreams are possible. And we go back to dare to dream, have a big dream, have the courage to take risks, show leadership through action, and no one thing is going to define you, because he's not a basketball player. He's not a filmmaker, a philanthropist, but he is a champion in life. And that's really where we go. So I'm not sure if he's here, but if Steve is here, it's a real, this is why we do what we do. There he is. Hey man, how are you?
Great. How are you, Sponny?
Doing really well. You have a big audience here. Everyone is pretty fired up to see you. And we gave a little background. I will do it no justice, in getting to know you as just someone who is inspiring in so many ways, that I was just about to say, I would say you're kind of undefinable in many ways. And I would just love for you to share a little bit about your story and your background, because I had said everyone here basically agrees that pretty obvious why you became a two-time most valuable player in the NBA. I mean, it's all from you grew up and your height and it's clear that you should be that, right?
Of course, yeah. I was the chosen one, right?
Yeah, of course. And by the way, they were shocked. We have a couple hundred tennis players on here. No one believed that the first time you and I played, there was a pretty significant level difference in our game. And in a couple years, I hate to admit it, but you have probably surpassed me, and I dedicated my whole life to it. And you've probably jumped more UTR points. All the kids here are trying to get, a half a UTR point better to get. College coaches want this. You broke that gap. So, whatever it is, you were meant to be a tennis player at age 50, right?
The dream is still alive, I guess. I don't know if I'm at your level, but I definitely fell in love with the sport and still trying to get better. And that's kind of what my story is all about, is having a growth mindset and having a way of life or an approach to life of constantly trying to learn and improve. First, let me just say, I just got off the tennis court. It's 111 degrees in Phoenix, so I changed, but I'm still sweating. So you guys are gonna have to forgive me for that. But
oh, that's better. That shows perseverance. You didn't come in. Together. You keep it going.
All right, but that's you're right. It's tennis for me is one of the few things I'm focusing on right now. Obviously being a great dad and husband and business person as well, but having a growth mindset, I think, is everything. Of every day embracing an opportunity to get better. Like, that is a way of life, really. So you guys are all young. You're all young athletes and students, and I think you all are probably embodying that in some way. But the more you can refine, kind of understand, and kind of visualize what that means, the sooner you will put yourself on a more efficient path to getting better. That's kind of like, I think, if you all want to do well in life, it's about continual improvement, right? It's about attainable progressions, and that only comes from having that growth mindset every day. Like, every day is an opportunity to get a little better. So what is the plan today? Okay, the big picture plan is to get a little better. Okay, now how do I get there? And laying out the steps. Like, how am I going to practice? How am I going to approach it? What do I need to do to prepare for practice or to prepare for a test or prepare for a class? Like, it's not just rolling out on the court or into a class and like catching up to speed 10 minutes in. It's like getting prepared in the morning. When the night before you go to bed, you know, okay, tomorrow I have class and then I have practice. Okay, so what do I need for class? Because if you're not prepared for class and then you go on the practice court and you're a mess because you weren't prepared for class and you're catching up, now you get on the practice court, you're not focused. So, you know, it's kind of about having a plan, and that's a part of having a growth mindset. So, you know, I've seen, you know, the model you guys have taught the kids, and you know, talking about passion and purpose and all that. Fantastic. You know, there's so many different ways to kind of articulate that, and I think for me, like these are integrated. Like it's not a big departure from what you do, but for me, like what I tell my kids or players, people that I try to help or coaches, you know, there's three characteristics for me that will take you as far as you want to go, and without them, it doesn't matter how talented you are. At some point, you know, it'll catch up with you. And so, you know, for me, the three things to remember are we are our habits. Okay, so what are your habits? Like, what do you do habitually, and how do you create healthy, positive, constructive habits? So your approach is a habit. The way you give effort, the way you bounce back, the way you talk to yourself. These are all different things that you can have habits in, right? So you're trying to create as many positive habits, because if you behave habitually in a positive way, that's who you are. You know, you're a positive growth mindset person that's getting better, striving every day, and it's a great way to live. You know, with that comes happiness, frankly, in most people. So having habits, healthy habits, you know, that's number one. The second is discipline. Okay, having the discipline to prioritize what's going to make you better. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of things that you can control and that you can put discipline into, and sacrifice towards to make you better every day. So whether that's your sleep, your diet, you know, your organization, the way you talk to yourself, the way you talk to others, treat others, you know, having the discipline to sacrifice to make all those things a positive step forward every day. So habits, discipline, and then mental toughness. You know, being able to be resilient, to bounce back, to overcome adversity, to stay calm when you're facing tough times, or someone tells you something you don't like, or a class or a test or a teacher or an opponent or a practice isn't going your way. Like, you know, staying calm, being able to measure it. You know, that the mental toughness is a muscle. Okay, like we train our skills in sports, we train our skills in the classroom, we train our bodies to have more endurance, more strength, but we don't ever talk about mental toughness in those terms. But you have to train that. And so one way to think about it is that every time you're doing something, it's an opportunity to test and grow your resolve, your resilience, your toughness, your mental toughness. You know, there's nothing more powerful than mental toughness. Physical toughness doesn't even come close. All right, somebody who's physically tough that can win a physical battle, you know, but can't win a mental battle. You know, it only takes you so far. Where someone who's not physically tough but is mentally tough, they can just keep going because they have the mental resilience to keep going. So let me go over them again: habits, discipline, and mental toughness. Right. So for the athletes out there, I never once said size, speed, strength, skill. Never once said any of those things. Okay. So these are all three things that all of you can control. Three ingredients you can all control that will afford you so much success, happiness, and purpose in life, and are key to any success that anyone that goes out there and does well in anything in life, you know, you'll find in those people. So maybe I'll take a pause there, and I don't know if Spani, you have a comment or if there's any questions, but it goes along with your passion and purpose. Exactly. But those are the three, the way I articulate it to people that I coach or to my kids. And they probably sick of hearing me say it, but I just know I've seen it. I've seen it in all great people that I've been around. I've seen it in my own success. You know, those three ingredients will take you as far as you could ever want to go.
I'm definitely floored, and you've known me for a while. It's hard for me to not have something to say. And you just hit it, I mean, on the head. It is all the same. I mean, when you talk about P's of, after passion and finding a purpose, we spend a lot of time talking about a greater purpose and things that drive you, that, setting goals. You're creating a roadmap on how to get there. The habits you form, the rituals, and that's the same in your sport, in how you are as a son, as a friend. It applies to everything. These are not mutually exclusive to you wanting to achieve success in your chosen, field or your sport. Now, these ingredients will give you success in everything. I mean, if you apply these the right way. So navigating yourself and understanding that the combination of learning, and I wasn't planning on asking this, but that so many athletes, and traditionally it's sort of a one track. I need to do this because if I want to become great at this, I can't look at that, I can't look at that. And knowing you and spending time with you, it's the opposite, right? I mean, you're the most open. I was telling before you came on, of seeking information and then being able to apply it. That I think you see the bigger picture of that you apply the three tenets you just said into everything, but you're always seeking information. And so what is that learning to you, that curiosity? If you could talk a little bit about, even just to share people kind of where you're from and your growth, right? You didn't, people assume I've played I was born dribbling a basketball, right? That's not true in your case.
Yeah. I grew up on the west coast of Canada. My parents are from England. We moved to the west coast of Canada by the time I was about one. And, I grew up, my dad was a soccer player. I, played like semi-pro. I loved it. My first word was goal. And moving to Canada, I also played hockey. And then in the summers, we played baseball and box lacrosse. And I would play the school sports, cross country, track, volleyball, whatever there was a team I'd play. I didn't play basketball really till I was 13. And, but all those other sports, I think took me a long way towards where I went as a basketball player. I think again, I had one scholarship offer. I graduated from college. I didn't come out early. It was a little bit of a different era when I came out 27 years ago. But I think again, it's the curiosity. Essentially, there's another way to talk about this, and you guys maybe have heard this, and you'll probably hear about it a lot going forward if you stay in sports, and that's or whatever you do, and that's process over outcome. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have heard that, but focus on the process. Okay, and I think like Spani was saying a minute ago, like I need to do this to be great at something. Well, sometimes we get it backwards. I need to have an incredible jump shot, or I need to have an incredible forehand to be great at something. And that's actually, now you're thinking about the outcome, right? The process. So if you flip that on its head, turn it around, and you say, to get a great forehand or a great jump shot, I need to have an open mind. I need to have a discipline. I need to have good habits. I need to have mental toughness, right? It's not, I need to have a good jump shot. It's like, what are the ingredients to get there? And it's your approach, your attitude, your openness, your willingness. That's what you should be seeking in everything you do in life. The process to get somewhere, not, I got to do this because I need a good jump shot. No, focus on the little ingredients that you need to employ every day to become a great shooter or a great, server, or whatever sport it is you play or whatever it is you study. So that curiosity is an openness, is a willingness, is to take the steps to get there, to have the right approach. And I think another way of encapsulating it is to focus on the process. What is the process? That will lead you to the outcome. But if you focus on the outcome, you'll skip steps in the process and you won't fully fulfill, the goal of the outcome. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. And I hope I articulate it, or someone can articulate it for you even better. But focus on the process. What are the baby steps each day? What are the little ingredients in a good practice or a good class or a good study session? that are going to allow you to fulfill that opportunity to to knock that session out of the park, right? That's what we're focusing on. And then you stack those days and those sessions and those weeks and months and eventually years on top of each other. Now you look back and you can't believe how far you came. But if you're constantly judging yourself on, I'm not a good shooter yet, I'm not a good shooter yet, I'm not a good shooter yet, you know, you're always focusing on the outcome rather than, instead of thinking I'm not a good shooter yet, think, am I working hard enough? Am I having the right approach? Am I in the moment? Am I patient? Am I resilient? Can I stick with this? How tough am I to do this day after day, regardless of the results? Can I delay gratification? You know, so in other words, can I wait for the reward? Because it may not come for years. If you really want to be great at something, the reward may not come for years. Are you willing to stay with it and keep doing it day after day without the reward you were hoping or expecting, and then have a breakthrough 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 years down the line, right? So if you want to be great at something, sometimes you have to be willing to wait for the outcome and be buried in the process. I hope that makes sense.
Well, not only does it, I'm smiling because my staff, the admin, is pretty convinced that you and I spoke before this, and this is a setup. I swear on any type of Bible that we did not coordinate this, but you have, not only have you articulated it better than we did, but we were going to go from passion and purpose to talk about process, and after process comes perseverance, which you just alluded to, that sticking with it. But everything is not a linear. I mean, they all keep filing back into each other, because from mindset, emotion, application, mastery, engagement, we have all these kind of buzzwords, but when you actually take them one at a time, you know, engagement and inspiration, but also lead to quote unquote boredom. Like, you know, to be great at anything, it's repetition. You know, the process is going to never hockey stick, and it's going to be a process that has highs and lows. And that perseverance kind of goes into the next P, which is like partnership and perspective, right? Like having people around you, because it's really tough to do it on your own. And my gut is you probably didn't, you know, just pop out and be like, this is my mindset, something that you work on. So there are parents on, we've invited parents to listen to this too, because you do need a team, a perspective. How did you in your life be able to put that together? You know, to be able to have, you know, to seek out people that were there as partners, you know, nullify the ones that were bringing you down, because you played team sports and individual sports. Are there anything when you were young or decisions that sort of clicked with you, that growth mindset? Because it doesn't instinctively happen everywhere.
Yeah, no, I think I was fortunate to have some great coaches that, you know, that were passionate, but also, you know, had boundaries or standards, and those standards weren't really about productivity. It wasn't about how many points you scored or goals you scored. It was more about, you know, did you give effort? Were you a good teammate? You know, so those ingredients, they, like, I don't know, you name a star athlete, like sometimes when you think about a star athlete, you don't think about like their behavior, how do they speak to their teammates, how do they listen or speak to their coaches, you know, all that stuff matters, you know, like because it's an openness, it's a willingness. You know, I think it was Uncle Tony, Rafa Nadal's coach and uncle. He told him since the time he was 6, 7 years old when he started coaching, and he would say "cara buena," which is for these Spanish speakers is a good face. Like when you come on the practice court, you have to have a good face, like a positive face. Like you can't come on the practice court with a negative face. And the reason why is because you're not ready to get better if you can't find it in yourself, have the discipline, you know, the habits, the mental toughness to whatever's bothering you today. I didn't sleep well, got in a fight with my mom, you know, whatever it is, I was upset out of a grade or a friend. If you can't find the habits, discipline, mental toughness to go on the practice court with a neutral to positive face and put all the negativity out of your mind, you're not ready to be open to coaching. You're not ready to be open to drills or exercises. You're not open to challenges. You're not open to facing adversity. You're not open to turning around a bad practice. So I think it's just so important that you recognize the cues you get from people that have more experience than you do. I luckily had good coaches that valued the right things, that valued hard work, dedication, the way you behave, being a good teammate, listening, trying to collaborate, incorporate what they're teaching. So I think I had great people around me that weren't ever really pushing me to be in the NBA. They were just pushing me to be a good player, a good sports person, a good teammate. And those characteristics, like, you think that they don't really matter. It's about just being really good at what you do. But in order to get there, like, those are key ingredients, key characteristics, qualities that people have to embody to continually improve. So I just think, like, I always took inspiration. I would read articles about people. I would listen to stories about people and try to take, like, little ingredients that I could control and embody. Like, I couldn't embody Michael Jordan's jumping ability, but I could embody his competitive nature. I could embody his work ethic. I could emulate, the ingredients that he put into training. So, that's what was exciting to me, was that there's a ton of controllables out there, things that you all can control in your journey. And that's really all it is. The stuff outside of your control, height, natural gifts, speed, strength, whatever, like that, those were predetermined. Now we can improve all those things, but you can't improve all those things without the right mindset. And so what can you control, right? So get busy focusing on the things that you can control, and that's your attitude, approach. Like I said, habits, discipline, mental toughness. I go back and forth to that, but and enjoy it. Like Kirk said, like, there's going to become a time when it's boring, and there's going to come a time when it's hard. There's going to come a time you don't feel like it, but you have to say, well, I'm not going to let go now, because it'll come back. It'll be enjoyable again. I'll find joy in the mundane, and I'll keep doing it day after day, because I'll get there in the end. And I'll give you two quick stories. There's many days when I didn't feel like, I think to be a great shooter and to be a great player, you have to practice pretty much every day. And so, two quick stories. One, there were so many days I was just so tired, probably practiced for 90 straight days. I just didn't feel like it that day, whatever it was. And I would just say, okay, get your ball, go to a hoop, whether it's like a gym or an outdoor court or anywhere, and just make 10 shots. Like, just to cement the habit, like, I'm tough enough to do it when I just do not feel like doing it at all. I'm sending a message to myself that I can overcome. And so then you become filled. That's your identity now. Oh, I'm someone that you can't stop me from going to do this, even if I don't feel like it. And you're going to say it's too far to find it. I can't find a hoop. I'll go to a park. I can't find, a park. I'll borrow someone's driveway, whatever it is. And I'm going to make 10 shots. Right now, almost every single time I did that, 10 shots turned into making 200 shots. Because it's really about just doing it. I started, I went, okay. Like, I proved I could, I proved that I won't quit. I proved that I won't be denied. It's only 10 shots. And now the hard work is just getting to the basket, starting to shoot. And then you make the 10 shots, and then it leads to 20 and 50 and 100, 200. Okay. And then the other story is when I was in college, I played at Santa Clara. It's a mid-major D1 school. We had a lot of success at our small school. But we were nobodies, especially when I got there. And, I remember my junior and senior year, I lived in a house with 5 other teammates. And we'd have practice, we'd have class, we'd have study hall and homework, whatever. And at the end of the day, we'd all be exhausted. But I think, you guys your whole lives are on your phone or computer. When this is pre-cell phone, 94, 95, 95, 96. So everything was on your information came from the TV. So we literally sat down and watched SportsCenter every night to get the highlights, to see who won. We couldn't just go to our phone and be like, the whole world's there. So when that was my cue. Whenever SportsCenter came on, and all 6 of us would go and sink into the couch, ready to watch SportsCenter, that was my cue to call the manager of the team and to open the gym, and I'd go back and make a couple hundred shots. And so you know, the discipline to do it when I just want to sink into the couch and watch Sports Center after practice, class, homework, study, all that stuff. The discipline to do it, you know, that was the difference between making it and not making it, right? Because there's other guys with more talent than me that weren't going back to the gym at night, that would give in to the couch in Sports Center. Does that make sense? So,
And not
you know,
only
I
does it
think,
make sense, I think most of us have chills because I don't even want to stop you. You're on such a roll, but I just have to, like, there are so many, I mean, there are a couple hundred young athletes here. And what you're talking about is that separation. It's not the miles per hour you get on your serve or what you do. It's like you hear it in the gym, and it's doing what others won't do, getting uncomfortable. It's all of these things, and it's not a secret recipe, right? I mean, it's not like you don't
not at all.
lock a secret code. But going back to what Dr. Lair just talked about, nobody talked about this when I was younger. No one ever said you're Yoda, that you have that inner voice. What you're talking about is exactly what an hour before you came on, Dr. Lair was saying. And when you learn how to control, you controlled your inner voice that allowed you to attain that success. Because most inner voices would say, let's just watch a couple highlight. Like there was no, like you had to do that. And I'm sure that you had that inner struggle. It wasn't every day like, up, it's on, now let me just go. You probably had to have that little talk like, do we do this? Do I do this? Should we do it? Yes, do it. And that separates everything. And when we talk about applying, you know, because at the end of the day, yes, we're talking to athletes. We're a school, and a school just doesn't end to get you into college. It doesn't end to, you know, matriculate or get a degree. These are lifelong habits to success, because you said characteristics, and that's the word character. And so when we talk about what we want to do at ICL, oh, congratulations, seniors got into Yale. Congratulations, you have players playing in the Junior US Open. Like, even if people say congratulations, they won the US Open. That's not really what it's about. It's about instilling that character into them so that look, you're always going to be an exception. It's an incredible journey, and there's no guarantees to make anything. But as I said, it's not the wins. It's not the MVP trophies. It's not those. It's the fact that you will apply this at 50 years old. That is, you could switch to tennis and make such accomplishments that whatever you set your mind to, you can say, I don't like physics. I don't like this class. I don't see why it relates. Why do I need that? But you approach that mindset. So you are definitely on a roll, and I don't want to stop it at all. I'll add another P with you, which is perspective, because a lot of people are probably saying, well, that's Steve Nash. I mean, he can do that. I can't, I don't know if I can do that, or, you know, what does that mean? You know, how, you know, in those dark days, was there something that clicked in you to say that to yourself? Like, was there perspective or a mentor or something that, you know, that didn't, how do I describe, how do you create that if it's not necessarily innate?
Yeah. So again, I think one answer could be what I mentioned earlier about, like, resilience, mental toughness is a muscle, right? So you can keep growing that. You know, like if you guys have so again, like, things you can control, like keeping a positive mindset, right? Not getting down, not getting negative. Like, I get it. It can be more challenging for some of us than others, but it's still a choice. Like, it is still your choice to be negative or positive, right? So it's not about, like, it's not innate. It's not 100% innate or 100% natural for you to be like, I just get so negative. Okay, if that's who you are, train yourself to recognize when you're being negative, realizing you have a choice, and start practicing the opposite choice, right? So it sounds so hard, but I just am negative. Okay, so let's break it down. I have negative thoughts. We all do. I resort to negative thoughts predominantly most of the time. Okay, that's a trait that I've developed. It might have started for whatever reason, but I'm now promoting negative thoughts by continuing to think negative thoughts. So let's stop. Here comes a negative thought. Whoa, let's be present for a second. Whoa, I just recognize I'm having negative thoughts, right?
Mm.
Sounds super lame, but I'm having negative thoughts. Okay, there's nothing wrong with smiling right now. Why am I having negative thoughts? Like, this is crazy. It's my life. Like, it's not so serious. This is just me and my thoughts. Let's have a little talk here, me and thoughts. Okay, like, I don't need to be negative. I can choose to turn that around. What's so serious about this? Right?
Yeah.
There's nothing is that serious if you care and have a heart and are trying your best. So, like, being aware, knowing where traits you have, traits you're, the traits that you're kind of what's the word, you're embodying a trait that you don't want to embody, will then start to recognize when it comes out, when you feel it, and how can I be aware of it, and then choose to have another trait, choose to have a sense of humor in a moment of frustration, choose to be good to yourself, it's okay, like, this is not the last practice, last point, last basket, last goal, last game I'm going to play. I'm going to do it. We got another one coming up, or tomorrow, or you know what I mean, in 2 minutes, whatever it may be. So you always have a choice. And so controlling the controllables, like developing that resilience. So for me, it was like, the other thing is, like, there's something about building momentum, right? And so if you're like, I just want to keep improving, refining my approach. I want to work harder. I want to work smarter. I want to work more efficiently. So just chip away small, tiny little goals, and then being super consistent with them. So my goal is to, be so focused to start practice. I'm going to be so focused to start practice. What do I need to do to walk out there on whatever practice I am a part of to be so focused and ready to go? So like I said, being organized in your day, preparing to be present when the practice starts. I'm ready. I'm excited. Here we go. Or even if I'm not excited, I'm ready to take this on right now. I'm ready to take this on right now. And then, like, okay, now all of a sudden I had a good start to practice. It only lasted 2 minutes, but I had a good start to practice. Now let me try again tomorrow. Now, can I keep it up for 2 minutes again? Or can I get it to 3, or whatever your number is? Okay, I fought for it. It wasn't great, but I gave everything I had. Pat yourself on the back and let's try to do it again tomorrow. And then 3 days, right? You're building a resiliency, a consistency. And what happens then is you have momentum. Like, oh, I can do this. I can get to 4 minutes, to 5 minutes, to 6 minutes. Before you know it, like, that's just who you are. Does that make sense? That's just who you are. And you just broke it down to just start the practice well. Right? So, and then build on that.
We're going from little, I mean, these are so insane. And I want to, like, go into each one because they're shooting questions off, and everyone is seeing these amazing questions because everyone has it. I mean, you gain perspective, but it's starting it the right way. I kind of want to zoom out now. We did celebrate. We're not spring chickens anymore, and that is we're entering a different mindset. So I wanted to talk a little bit about impact and impact on the world, sort of beyond your passion, right? I mean, I'm sure if we had a conversation, could you imagine if I said to you at 14, by the way, you're going to be 2-time NBA MVP? I mean, it's probably got to be surreal at some points to think about that. But knowing you as I do, you're always looking for more. I mean, like, it doesn't settle, right? There's nothing in life about settling. So we're trying to take a lens out. Why do you think it's important to make an impact kind of on the world and for others? Because you do it instinctively. I shared a little bit about just watching you as a friend, as someone. I mean, you're very empathetic, self-aware, kind of selfless. And how do you feel that making an impact on others has affected you or driven you?
We share this planet and experience. So I think it's just boring to be so insular and self-absorbed. There's no payback there. There's no there's no growth. There's no relationship building. There's no learning from others. There's no construction. There's no building if it's just you putting yourself first, being in a silo or insular or not caring or having empathy or compassion or wanting to see others happy. So for me, it's a way of life because it's way more fulfilling. It's funner. It's more rewarding. The payback is great rather than putting myself first would be more instant gratification if we get back to that. And like that might feel good to put yourself first and to get what you wanted exactly in that moment. But then you realize later, like by doing so, I've pushed people away. I don't have a support system that I would like. I don't have friends that I can lean on or that I can support, which is rewarding, right? It's, one of the most, a great a great thread of happiness is to give to others, to have gratefulness. Like, you can live life feeling like, oh man, like that should be me or this should be mine. Or instead of like, I'm happy with what I am and what I have, and I'm going to embody the approach that I think, I want to, we only live for a short time. And so I just think it's important to share the planet, to share your community, to share your experience with others, to be able to help them, to be able to have them help you back. Like that's a human quality, and that's a part of living, I think, a happy and balanced life. And so I'm getting a little bit philosophical, but I think that that's
No, but
way more interesting.
did it drive you? I mean, you're not only getting philosophical, you're getting real. That's so many great athletes and people at the end of their lives sort of have regret, or there are people that have focused on minutia that didn't see the bigger impact. And was this innate in you, or was there a time that that something became bigger than yourself? Because at some points, to become great, you have to be a little selfish, right? It's sort of like, I have to do this. But it was a time that you kind of stepped back and said, all right, there is higher purpose. There is something that that impact you want to have that's beyond basketball? Or was there, I mean,
yeah. I mean, my parents, I think, were this way. They thought of us, they instilled in us a thinking about community, global community, about that life is not fair and that you have to accept some of that and you have to have empathy for people. Like, we're all born into we all have a different first base, right? Like you could be born in a really, really impoverished, corrupt, part of the world where you lack all the resources to live the life that we are all of us are able to live, more or less, and you can still be just as happy or more. And so it's really about your approach. And so my parents, I think, were that way, teaching us that we're all fortunate, we're great, we should be grateful, like we have so much and we have so much we can control. I you guys are young people and you're still developing like your approach to life and all that stuff. But I just think it's important to learn to be content with who you are, develop who you are, and that path is yours. And there should be a fulfillment in the way you live your life, the way you approach it. And then you're not worried if your competitor or friend or enemy has success. You're happy for that person.
Yeah.
You're happy. That's fantastic for that person. I'm on my little journey. I'm running my little race and I'm still in it. And guess what, guys? Like right now, you guys are all having, hopefully you're having dreams of greatness. But like, I had this perceived greatness. You know what? That is so far in the rear view mirror of my life. Like I don't wake up every morning and think once about my career.
Isn't that amazing? Wait, guys, let's take a pause there, because that's a shocking expression to some people, right? I mean, if you really, really think about the good old days, the greatness, and what I know about you is every day is like a challenge. I mean, the way you are as a friend, as a husband, as a knowledge seeker. You also might be a mind reader, because we didn't plan this discussion at all, but we have questions coming out from kids, and I was trying to see if we could invite them up. But I'll just share with you Akasha, a fantastic, talented player, who asked the question, how do you maintain a positive mindset and inner voice when you saw your contemporaries that you were around all of a sudden compete at higher levels, like sort of go that extra distance. And, how do you still maintain that attitude when others are beating you or anything like that?
Well, again, you're like I just said, we're running our own race. So it's a real thing in track and field, right? Like they say, run your own race. Now, the reason they say that is because if I try to match someone who's a better starter than me, I'm not running my own race anymore. They're going to beat me in the start. So to try to run the start with them, now I've lost the kick, which is me, right? So like we are all running our own race. So don't like constantly be, it's like, okay, when I play tennis now, and I know this is probably hard in the environment you young tennis players are in, if someone hits a ball and it's really close to the line, it's in.
Yeah.
It's in. Because for me, I would feel bad if I got it wrong. 1, 2, I didn't hit a good enough ball to them that they were able to hit it close enough to the line. So I'm playing against myself. Like, okay, I'll give you that because my ball wasn't heavy enough, wasn't deep enough. Whatever it is. So like that's running your own race. Because in the end, I'm not getting better if I'm like out. I'm getting better if I'm like, yeah, in. And then I talk to myself and say, you didn't hit a good enough ball because you didn't get your feet there fast enough. You didn't plant and you didn't keep your head on the ball. So if you don't want that ball to be on the line or near the line or whatever, hit a better ball, get better footwork, be on better balance, have a better rhythm, timing, pick a bigger target. So like, that's just an example through tennis, but it could be in any sport of like running your own race. You're competing with yourself. You shouldn't be looking over the net. You shouldn't be looking at the other court. You shouldn't be looking at the rankings. It's, did I run my race well today? Which means, was I ready for practice? Did I have the right mindset? Did I employ the right characteristics to get better today? And then you stack those days on top of each other. The ball's not in anymore because you hit it through that person because of your training and process. And so you're not having to worry about, those might have been in, but I don't want to call it in because then the match is getting tight. No. Give it to them. It's in. I got to get better. So now you have a growth mindset. You're getting better instead of, if you say out, you're actually getting worse.
Yeah.
So now you're making excuses. You're trying to cut corners and you're not running your own race. Okay. So I know it's hard for you guys. You probably live in an environment where the line is like very, very slim in some of these tournaments, but the reality is this tournament does not matter. The race matters. And I'll take it past your career. I do not think once about my career.
Wow.
When I wake up in the morning, I don't think about it. I don't care about it. I don't even recognize that person. If I come up on my own Instagram feed, I'm like, oh yeah, that happened. Because that was another life. Like I'm busy going forward. What can I learn? What can I do to grow? What can I get better at? That's engagement. Looking back behind me always, yeah, but I was that guy. I did that. That is not a way to live. That's not in the moment. That's going backwards. I'm going this way. I want to be a better father, better husband, better friend, better tennis player, and all those things. And so looking forward, having curiosity, running your own race. I've thrown a lot of different concepts out there today, but
these are not golden nuggets. I remember one of the first times we met and I was going through a bit of a hard time and you said, Spani, just remember nothing happens to you, it happens for you. And I remember those words and I remember seeing you prepare and it's living it and kind of manifesting it that it'll happen and not, you have a group of young people who are chomping at the bit, right? UTR, my ranking, or, some are actors. Like if I don't get that part, my career's done. It's like everything is on the line. And we remember that. I mean, it's hard. Like it just seemed like every match had a consequence or, something to it. And it's easy to say, but, when you live that, when you take it piece by piece and, look, Steve is not going anywhere. It's not like, this time is so precious and kids have been inundated with so much. And I know there are tons of questions and I know who you are as a person that, we've talked about sharing and impacting and imparting on a legacy. I think, first of all, I think I'm not sure if you plan on taking Tony Robbins' job, but you're pretty good at it. I don't know, what the future holds, but, to wrap up, obviously spending time with you again, the notes in the chat are going crazy, what people are asking. So I do want to be mindful of your time, which is so important to us. That element of coaching, what you're talking about, do you see when you impart what you're talking about, because tennis and basketball are very different, right? I mean, you're coaching a group, a unit of egos, of individuals, different positions, and tennis, it's sort of focused on one player. Can you just riff about sort of your experience? And because now you get to share it, right? But for a long time in your career, you were in it, and achieving as part of a team or individually. Now you're sort of in that coaching mindset. What are those differences? A couple of differences you see?
Yeah, I mean, of course, coaching is different from playing. You have more responsibility to the group and to all the people around the group. But coaching is still about giving, sharing, mentoring, teaching, collaborating, understanding, listening. It's as a player, you're more focused on what do I need to do to perform today and run my own race, or whatever way you want to frame it. What do I need to do my best today? As a coach, you have to think about everyone and each person's individual ability to run their own race, to do well in their day, to be prepared to fulfill their kind of needs. And then you have to have the totality of the group, in a team sport. But, I mean, again, whether you're actors, it's about like, if we say running on a race, or process over outcome, or whatever term we want to use, you are honing your craft every day, and you have to fall in love with the process of honing your craft. You have to fall in love with the days where it's boring. You have to fall, like, that should be a signal to you. Like, Sports Center comes on, the couch is inviting you, my teammates, it's a signal, like, this is a chance to get better right now. I'm bored with acting. I'm bored with tennis, bored with practice. It's a signal, right? Like, that's your opportunity, because everyone feels that. And most people quit in those moments. Most people say, no, that's enough. I'm going to take a break right now. Okay. So you have to, like, that's a cue. That's an opportunity to be like, no. That feeling of boredom, that feeling of like, let me, like, my foot off the gas, that's an opportunity to cement your habits, your discipline, your mental toughness, which is honing your craft, running your own race, process over outcome, all those things. So coaching is trying to facilitate that in each player. It's how do you inspire them to push, to keep going, to not give in to distractions. And so you try to share and try to give them an opportunity to be their best. And it's a great gift as well, to try to allow people to see how good they can be.
Well, you're a teacher, a role model, a friend, a mentor, and a great sense of humor. I think you have to go through life a little bit with as you mentioned earlier, there's so many quotes. I'll send you, I mean, again, the chat, it's like people are writing down quotes you have, little things that stuck out too, how you smile. Like you said, I'm going to take this, like what you can do with your body. A lot of questions that have come in are all kind of related to, but what if I have this, or, the sort of the obstacles, like the but, and I know you've addressed it. It's just interesting. And I always think that you can control that, right? You can, when you smile, when you put your shoulders back, how you approach a situation begins to tell other people, yourself, hey, I'm here. I'm not like, I'm tired. It's always going in to everything, even sort of fake it till you make it. And then it starts to grow. But
that's right. That's right. Yeah. I got to go pick up some kids from school, but let me leave with that point. Like, fake it till you make it, smile in the face of adversity. Like, I feel burned out. Nothing's that serious. Nothing is that serious. Like, I feel burned out. All right. Well, how bad do I want this? Maybe you don't want it. And then it's time to say, I don't want this. But if you're like, yeah, I kind of do want it though, then just like, all right, come on, lazy bones. Let's start. Let's get out there and let's start. Let's make 10 shots. Let's hit 10 forehands. Let me embody a character in the mirror for 10 minutes, whatever. Like you just keep going. Don't give up. Don't give in. Don't stop. That's what happens. Most people stop now, and that's just a choice. And whether you're burned out is perspective, right?
Yeah.
Like it's your perspective that you're burned out right now. But why? Well, maybe you're approaching this too seriously. You can also smile 10 times during a training session. That doesn't mean you're not focused. That doesn't mean you're not in the moment. That doesn't mean you're not competing. Right now, it's not everyone's personality, but what is it in your personality that can allow you to not stop?
Yeah.
Like find out what it is in your way, in your personality. Sometimes for some people, it's a smile, it's a laugh, it's a friendship, it's a support system. Be creative. Find a way to be like, flip it. I'm burned out. Why would I be burned out? Like, what else am I going to do? What else am I going to do? Like, okay, well, I can do less.
Yeah.
Okay, but then you're not going to get anywhere. So there's always a way to just shift perspective, go over this side and look back at what you're doing. What if I do it this way instead of that way? Like that's a curiosity. There's an experimentation. There's nothing is life or death. We have choices to make. And so, I've probably said way too much. I just wish you guys.
You have not. You have definitely not. We could talk forever. You are an exceptional person and friend. I've gotten quotes. We would like to invite you to our ICL Dingles tournament. We want to make sure that Indian Wells. It happened. We had some of our ICL students take down Justin Gimelstob and Nick Monroe last year. We are gearing up for a big time Dingles tournament. People saw you play, got questions asking, so I appreciate it. I just want to recap that you are your habits. The discipline is critical and the mental toughness. And if we start going, that's a great way to enter this new year. Thank you for being our keynote speaker, our spirit animal, our people here won't remember when they were younger, be like Mike. They're going to remember, be like Steve now. So we're taking MJ out of the equation. Thanks, man. This means a lot. And best to your family and the move. And we look forward to seeing you in person soon. Thanks. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, everyone. Enjoy it. Find a way to enjoy it. All right. All right.
Thanks.
Take care.